I gotta change the YouTube description because it still says weekly uploads can reasonably be expected, and that's just not true.
I mean, it's kind of true. I think we usually get one about every week.
We're trying our best.
Yeah.
We also need a new profile picture because it still says 4N.
Yeah, Julian says he's working on that.
Cool.
Yeah, and I promise it will be done real soon.
Well,
Don't
better
rush.
be because you're taking breaks, and who said you were allowed to take breaks?
Yeah, we're gonna hold you
But
to that. Not okay, dude.
Get
no,
back to your slave closet.
I need to complete my love
There is
quest.
no love for you until you finish our logo. Now get back in your corner.
All right, welcome back to the worst podcast on the face of the planet. I'm Arlo.
I'm
This is
Tristan.
Tristan, and that's Julian over there.
Arlo,
Hi.
Not the
you're
worst podcast.
Arlo, you're making a very good case for why people should watch us. You're doing a very good job. If I was watching this, I would totally want to watch this. Keep going, indeed.
Yeah.
So, what are we talking about today, Arlo?
Metroidvanias. Hell yeah.
Yay!
It's one of my favorite genre of video games.
Yay.
I
And this
even
was
wore
actually
I
what?
even wore my Hollow Knight shirt for this occasion.
Wow, I'm sure it looks amazing.
Yeah, I really didn't even realize that until I went to the bathroom before the podcast started. I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm wearing Hollow Knight shirt, and we're
I'm just
talking
gonna say
about
I did that on
Metroidvanias."
purpose. Huh.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, of
Yeah.
course I of course I did, because I'm smart,
Oh,
right?
you know what we were gonna talk
Yeah,
about? We were gonna talk about mobile games. That should be our next episode. That's gonna be so
Oh
I have a lot to say
yeah.
about mobile games.
yeah, but
Hmm.
that's for another time
That's for another
because
episode. That we could get into
mobile
that.
games can make up its own episode. But today we're going to talk about something actually good today.
Something that's a real game.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so this was suggested by Julian, I'm pretty sure, in
Yeah.
the general chat that we all talk about Metroidvanias, and I'd realized I've never played Metroid, like the platformer Metroids. I think I did like one round a long time ago of the 3D like FPS with my friend, like multiplayer, where you have like the arm gun or whatever. Um,
Honestly, I
Uh,
don't think a lot of people have because it doesn't seem that Nintendo's really pushing Metroid anymore. I mean, they did
yeah, it's
release a
pretty
game
old.
on like the 3DS and then they are making a new one on the Switch, but that was announced like 3 years ago and there's like no new information about it other
Yeah, and
than
who
the
still uses their 3DS? I mean, I still have
seriously.
I don't
mine,
even
but like,
I don't even own a 3DS anymore. I sold it a long time ago.
damn.
Yeah, but I'll
What
never
was I
sell
gonna
my
say?
Switch because the Switch is awesome.
Oh, I was gonna say I've never played Metroid, or Hollow Knight, but I have played
Fake fan.
Ori and the Blind Forest. Yeah, fake fan. I played
Get the
Ori and the
fuck out
Blind
of here,
Forest.
Arlo.
I
You
beat
call
the whole thing
yourself a
in 10
nerd and you
hours.
haven't played Hollow Knight? Fake fan. Get out. Leave. Now.
Maybe one
Disgusting.
day. I haven't
Failure.
spent the money on it yet.
Pathetic. Waste of space. Get out of my podcast.
I didn't come
Ugh.
here to sob, okay? I didn't
Get
come here
out
to have
of
my
this.
heart
Get
broken.
out of my hollow nest.
But yeah,
But see, the joke doesn't work there because I don't get the reference, Julian. Because I haven't played the game.
because you're a
Oh.
fake fan. Because you're a loser. Get out of my fucking podcast, Arlo.
I have played Ori and the Blind Forest, though, and you haven't played Ori, and it's really quite pretty, and I like Ori quite a lot. I haven't played the sequel, but I did do the entire first game, Ori and the Blind Forest, and it's a really pretty platformer with like fluid, blurry, like visuals. And what I like most about just like Metroidvanias as a genre is that idea of coming back to places you've already been with new abilities and being able to like access new locations and like get more points.
Yeah, I like that too. It does feel like a really cool accomplishment. Like, say when I'm playing Hollow Knight and it's like there's this one area that I can't reach because I can't like climb up walls because I don't have the mantis claws. But then when I get the mantis claws and I pass by that area again, I'm like, oh yeah, I can climb up here now. And then I get some like a new badge or some cool loot or something.
Oh yeah. I feel like that sense of progression that unique, that specific type of progression, and that feeling you get when you come back to a location you've already been with like new knowledge and new powers is unique to the genre, which I love.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's really cool. I've speaking of Ori, I've never actually played Ori. It looks really cool from what I've seen. I'm like, yeah, I could probably like. I mean, I look at it and I'm like, yeah, I'd probably like that, but I've
It's
just
such a
never
pretty game.
bought it. Yeah, it
Mm.
Also,
looks
if you play it
really,
on
really
hard
pretty.
mode, if you play it on hard mode, it becomes reminiscent of like the first. I love this. I constantly was thinking back to like the first Sonic games, uh, like on like the original Sonic games where you weren't even able to save because like the technology didn't have the capacity for like game saves.
Oh.
And so you had to pick it up and play through the whole thing in one go. But their workaround for that was to like keep up the play the game hours, so you couldn't just sit down and beat the whole thing in one go, was to make it really difficult so that you would have to achieve complete mastery over it to sit down and beat the whole thing in one go. Um, which meant you would die a lot and you would retry the same level over and over. And when you're playing Ori on hard mode, you kind of get that feeling. Like it's very reminiscent. Very much like a almost a callback in that way to that
Dude,
mechanic of just like sitting down and that sense of reward, that fucking the rewarding sense that you get when you finish like a really difficult part and then find a whole new section of the map that you've been trying to beat for like an hour and a half feels so good.
yeah. I can't
Mm.
imagine that whole thing that they did back in the day where making a game super difficult and having to beat it in one through. I don't think that could fly today.
Well, yeah, because that was built around like their technological like
Yeah,
restrictions back then. But we have
because
much more power to work with now.
the casuals would complain that it's too hard and too unfair, and then the hardcores would be like, "Fucking casual scrubs, get good. You guys suck. You're not real gamers. Get the fuck
Me
out of
after
here."
beating Ori.
Yeah,
What I loved about Ori, especially with that sense of like having to play through the same thing over and over until it gets dull, and then having to play through it even more, and then having it like, okay, let me rewind a little bit. I got ahead of myself there. When you have to play through the same section over and over, especially if it's one of the final stages where the sound design and the music and like the visuals all sync up in this beautiful cinematic way, it's really exciting the first like 3 times, then it's really dull the first 10 times, like after that, and then once you keep playing it over and over after that, it takes on new meaning. And it kind of becomes this like almost this mantra in your head, like where the music loops and sways, and I know that pillar's gonna fall there, so I'm gonna jump over that, and it becomes almost like half-minded work. And then you find yourself at the end of the level, and you realize that you spent like an hour or an hour and a half playing this section, and you remember it so well, and you feel so cool for beating it. So it's like those two benefits that you get from spending so much time playing through these climactic parts of the game where you have to go to each like boss level and like liberate each temple or whatever. I just love that so much. It felt really good. It felt almost like I had watched a movie once I was done beating the game, but it wasn't even like full of cutscenes or it was just like it was playing through like a cinematic side scroller, which if you look back on the original Metroid games, I feel like that's a pretty big growth uh from what they were back then.
yeah. But dude, talking
Yeah.
about the music, man, Hollow Knight has some excellent music.
Does it?
Yeah,
Mm.
I mean, most of the track is just kind of like sad piano music, and that doesn't sound very appealing, but trust me, when you actually like get into the mood, when you're just like playing by yourself, like in your room or on the couch, and you're just like walking through the world, it makes you feel like you're there. It makes you feel like really well.
I really like the song that plays when you're in the what's it called again? It's like the place where it's raining a lot.
Oh, the City of Tears.
Yeah, that.
Bro, I love the City of Tears. It's so pretty. It's
Mm.
so good, dude. I mean, I love that. I love it, but it's also like the most emo, hardcore, edgy name possible, like the City of Tears.
Well, they say tropes are tropes for a reason.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't really describe the Hollow Knight as like edgy or anything. It is very sad. And I
Yeah,
think that's
like
one thing that it shares with Dark Souls. Like a lot of people called it like the Dark Souls of Metroidvania, which I normally hate because people just say that because the game is hard. So they'll say, "Oh, this racing game is hard. It's the Dark Souls of racing games. Oh, this fighting game is hard. It's the Dark Souls of fighting games."
I can attest. I've encountered those types of people.
But Hollow Knight actually does share quite a lot of similarities with Hollow Knight. Like how the storytelling is very subtle. Like you can't really.
Wait, you mean Dark
Chris-
Souls?
yeah, you said Hollow Knight is very similar to Hollow Knight.
Oh wow, I'm fucking dumb.
That don't make
Hollow
any
Knight.
sense, Tristan.
Well, Hollow Knight is very similar to Hollow Knight. Duh. Of course, Hollow Knight's very similar to Hollow Knight because Hollow Knight is Hollow Knight. But yeah, Hollow Knight is very similar to Dark Souls, in the way that the lore is very, I guess, subtle. Like it's not directly told to you. Like in Dark Souls, you kind of have to walk around and like talk to the few NPCs that are there, and like read item descriptions to actually like get the lore of the story. And even then,
Oh,
you'll probably have to play.
it sounds like you're saying the story is shown and not told. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
That was just something I knew I'd forget if I didn't like get it out. That's what I'm hearing, and I love that.
Yeah,
Hmm.
it's not like it's not like you're playing Dark Souls and you just walk into the first area and there's some like random like knight NPC who's just like, "Hey, welcome to Kingdom.
Yeah.
This is what
Info
happened in
dump time.
Kingdom. This kingdom was once very powerful. It was the greatest nation in the world,
And you
and
just have
then
to spam
everything got
A.
sad." And it's just like, "Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah."
Strive for the
Imagine
same
if it
thing in
was like
D&D
that
too.
in real life. Like the second you take a plane to like a different state, like in New York, and second you get there, some guy approaches you and is like, "Welcome to the city of New York. Let me tell you its
Like, who are you?
history."
Well, it's just like, "Hello, welcome to New York. This city was founded in 16." I don't know when it was founded. I'm just gonna make up a number. 1646 by Sir and
Your eyes just glaze over like, okay, okay, okay. Enough with the cutscene. Can I play the game now?
Yeah,
Yeah, you strive for the same thing in D&D too. Like as a DM, just like not throwing information at your players and hoping that they'll care, but making sure they care and putting them in situations where they have no choice but to care.
yeah,
And sometimes you don't need info dumps to do that. If you have like any
right,
good amount of skill.
right. I mean, there are NPCs that do kind of tell you the lore in Hollow Knight, but they never just tell you like exactly everything that happened. You kind of have to like piece it together yourself.
Right.
And
I
there's a
love,
lot of
yeah,
war in Hollow Knight.
really.
Yeah, I don't know if I want if I don't know if you're ever gonna play it. I hope you do, but I don't want to spoil it for you. But there is, if you just want to learn the lore of Hollow Knight, there's a really good video. It's like it is very long though. It's like an hour and like 13 minutes, I think, and it's called like it's like the complete lore of Hollow Knight, and it's by some guy named, I think he has, it's like Mossbag or something like that. I don't know, but it's a very good video.
Who named
It's
their kid Mossbag?
I don't know,
uh,
man. I don't know.
his parents
Someone
were gardeners.
someone who really wants their kids to get beaten up in school.
He's beautiful. What should
Like
we name
Elon
him?
Musk.
What should we name him? How about
None you guys watching probably won't get that reference, but
I'm gonna bleep the name.
yeah, that's probably a good idea. I don't even think I doubt he watches these, but if he fucking does and he comments, I'm gonna be like, "Oh my god."
I haven't thought about that kid in so long.
Me neither.
The strange thing is like now I want a career in like game design, and it all sprouted from my love for like D&D and tabletop RPGs. And I never would have gotten into it if we didn't have to like decide the order of the cart at
The
like
wagon
outdoor
order.
school. The wagon
Yeah.
order. You
Wow.
might get attacked by goblins, so you have.
We didn't even fucking do
Why do I
anything. We
remember
just
that
set
so
up
well?
the
We didn't do anything.
because it was funny.
He had made pre-made characters. He was so excited. God, we were such jerks back then.
I was a dude.
Oh.
I was such a fucking asshole.
We
I'm
were
still a
bullies.
fucking
That's what we
asshole.
were. We were bullies. It makes me wonder if any of the bullies that like harassed me back then think about me now and regret it, you know? Or if they've like changed at all.
Maybe. I don't know. I wouldn't
Yeah.
know because I never got bullied.
Yeah. Nearly every time I was bullied as a kid, half the time I didn't even know. So it's like, okay, cool.
Hey,
She's like,
nice
okay.
glasses, nerd. Thank you. My mom picked them up for me.
Honestly, as a kid, maybe I did get bullied and I just didn't know. But that would probably be exactly what would happen. Someone would be like, "Hey, nice shirt," and I'm like, "Oh, well, thank you."
I like your dumb superhero lunchbox. Yeah, me too. I really like this. It's themed after a movie I
Honestly,
saw. I
that's
remember
probably
I
the
had one of
best.
the metal Pokemon lunchboxes when I was little. That like came in the big packs that were like $40.
Nice. I what was I gonna say? God, I can't. I'm having such brain farts today. I can't
Sorry, I
even
might have
remember.
just like steamrolled that entire conversation.
No, it's
Apologies.
fine. All right. Back to Hollow Knight. Um, I just realized there are plenty of other similarities between Hollow Knight and Dark Souls. Like, they might be like kind of vague, like they're kind of subtle comparisons, but I think they work. Like you in Hollow Knight and Dark Souls, you're both like lone wanderers traveling through a destroyed kingdom, defeating tons of bosses with vague lore to discover magical art, like to find and finding magical artifacts and getting more powerful as you go along. Like they are very similar to each other in a lot of ways. And I think Dark Souls is actually kind of like a 3D Metroidvania. Like the Souls games, that's how I kind of see them, is they're like 3D Metroidvanias.
Well, spoiler alert for Dark Souls. Um, don't you loop back to the beginning at the end? I haven't beaten it, but that's what I heard.
Uh
It's like you find yourself like the whole map connects.
yeah, the whole map of Dark Souls connects with each other. So like as you go through the game, you'll find like shortcuts that'll take you to other areas quicker
And
than
like places you've
others.
already been. Yeah.
Yeah, that you'll have to go back to and like fight stuff that you couldn't fight before.
So I can definitely see the resemblance in that section,
Yeah, there are
in
quite
that
a.
facet.
I mean, it doesn't have like the like getting. I mean, you do get new gear in Dark Souls, but it's more like an RPG where you just get like an go from like an iron sword to a silver sword, or your stats go up, like your health, stamina, magic, whatever, instead of just like because the most in Hollow Knight you'll get is like health upgrades and some new gear and like
It's
these.
digestible.
Yeah. And you'll also get like these things called like badges, which give you special abilities like some special abilities, like while you're healing yourself, which you can do. You'll have like a shield around you while you're healing, so it can take a hit if you're while you're healing, so you don't take damage, which is nice. And then there's a bunch of others that I don't really remember. Oh yeah, there's one that's like makes you dash longer and has like and gives the cooldown for dashing, like it makes the cooldown for dashing less time.
Have you ever
But
played another Metroidvania though, or is that your only one?
that's really the
Uh
only one I've played for me
oh,
personally.
I actually have played Super Metroid.
Oh,
Uh,
I mean, seriously,
okay.
the sprite
Okay,
work
tell
is
us about Super
amazing.
Metroid. Whoa.
Yeah, so I really like the sprite work in this game. Like, it's very advanced for the time, but in terms of gameplay, I think it's pretty solid compared to stuff like Hollow Knight. Like, it has the same element of
Heresy.
going back and exploring new places, getting power-ups. Like, I just really like the immersion of it all.
I have
Also,
played. I have played Hollow or not Hollow Knight, Super Metroid a bit too, and I found it to be very fun. But I kind of just
uh,
stopped playing it one day, not because I was like bored or anything, just because I moved on to other stuff and just never picked it up again.
What's
for
your
me, it's
favorite
because like,
Metroidvania boss? Like boss monster?
for me,
Ooh,
probably Kraid. That's the fat lizard guy you're seeing in the GIF I
I
sent to
like
the
the sprite
chat.
work for that guy.
Yeah.
I do really like the final boss of Hollow Knight. I won't spoil it for anyone who hasn't played it. Like a certain person in this room that has an A in his name and needs to get on that right now.
Greg.
Greg.
Sure. Yeah, let's go with
Craig has to
Craig.
play Hollow Knight.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Craig, get on that. If you don't play Hollow Knight by the end of this week, Craig, we're disowning you.
We're gonna fire him and just record the podcast ourselves.
We'll throw you back into the abyss from whence you came.
One thing I've noticed about Metroidvanias is that music in those games are usually like very otherworldly.
Yeah, I'd say
Like,
that's true. I mean, except Hollow Knight, which is just sad ambient piano music.
yeah, like with Metroid, it's usually this ominous chanting, like da 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 ha ha, and also with Castlevania, it's usually like this really strange yet upbeat music, like da 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 da.
Yeah. Oh, I just realized. I did actually play Super Castlevania. Like it's called like Super Castlevania 4. Also very, very fun.
Oh, nice.
I don't know if that's really because honestly, most of the Castlevania games, but like don't really count as Metroidvanias. Because when people say like the Vania in Metroidvania, they mean like Symphony of the Night and not like Castlevania 4. Because Castlevania 4 is extremely linear. It's more of like just an action platformer than a Metroidvania.
You mean like side-scrolling one way?
Yeah, you side scroll like you side scroll one way either to the side or up or down. And there isn't really like it's not really like a sprawling overworld. It's more just like a like levels. Like you go level 1, then level 2, then level 3 and so on. But like Symphony of the Night is definitely a Castlevania is a Metroidvania because it's like one location with multiple levels, not like levels as in like 1, 2 like Mario, but like different floors and different rooms and like going back to different locations and getting upgrades all over the place.
What is it available on?
I know it's on PS1, and I think you can get it on PS4, like online, from the
Damn.
PSN store.
Probably
But
for
I
like
don't think it's
$5 or something.
maybe I don't know. I never gotten it. I've never actually played it, but I know what it is.
Hmm. What was I gonna say? I was gonna say, oh yeah, maybe there's an emulator that can run it as like a ROM on PC.
Actually, Arlo, I think what you were going to say is if you like this episode, please like and subscribe, and also consider joining our Patreon.
The episode isn't over. We haven't run
Not
out
yet.
of time yet.
Oh,
You're just gonna like midway self-promotion. Shameless.
I mean, we gotta throw in those shameless plugs whenever you can get.
Do you gotta though? Do
Yes,
we have to gotta?
we do gotta.
Yeah, okay. I won't hold that against you, but the audience might. You know, the 8
Maybe.
people who are gonna listen to this.
Well, to
You
all
better watch
eight,
your back.
well, to all 8 of you who are watching, you can try, but you'll never catch me. And also, I appreciate you watching this episode. And
We
please,
hate you, but we also love you. We don't hate you more
yes,
than we hate Craig.
no, Craig is a
Yeah.
piece of shit.
Craig
Fuck
is the
Craig.
Jerry of this podcast.
No,
Oh,
Craig makes
Jerry.
Craig is a
Jerry.
Jerry to Jerry.
Damn.
Let that sink in.
Now, are we talking about Jerry from Parks and Rec, or Jerry from Rick and Morty, or
Yes,
Jerry from
Rick
the
and
other show
Morty.
that I'm not remembering?
yes.
I was thinking of Rick and Morty.
I'm pretty sure Jerry's the go-to name, though, for, like, anyone who everyone picks on.
Yeah, if you want your kid to get bullied in school, name him Jerry.
Is anyone still being named Jerry?
I
Or,
don't
like,
know.
Matilda? Or, like, Gladys?
I actually
Tilda.
I actually know a girl in my school named Matilda.
It's a cool name.
Yeah.
Yeah,
When I was a kid, I used to think that people saw Meg as the loser name as a Family Guy.
shut up, Meg.
Yeah,
I genuinely do not know why everyone picks on Meg in Family Guy. It's not that I'm
Because
complaining about the trope, I just don't see any, like, wasn't it, like, straight from the first episode that she was just, like, treated poorly by her family and it was, like, unexplained?
no.
like
It was
in the
it's
first
weird
episode,
because
she's more like a typical teen girl, but overall they just start making fun of her for no reason.
I guess they thought that it would be funny for, like, shock value.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
but
think it just doesn't work. It's not really funny anymore.
yeah, what's weird is that there are a lot of jokes about how Meg is really ugly, yet Lois is hot, yet Lois is so unattractive and bland.
Are we okay, are we
I did
gonna
not think
start arguing on this podcast when we started talking about video games? Let's just take a break. I'm not gonna put a stop to the
just roll
conversation
with it.
necessarily. I just wanna give us an opportunity to just take a look at what we're doing and where this conversation is going.
Just
Yeah,
roll with
sorry,
it.
I
Just
really
fucking
hate
roll with it.
Family Guy.
Don't break this up. You're ruining the flow. Just go with it. Just go
I
with the
think
flow, man.
I think the funniest jokes in Family Guy are the clean ones, the ones that rely on like smart humor rather than just like shock value or like disgusting value, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
or
think
ones with cutaways, like ones
Yes.
where it's not that is actually really funny. Like my favorite is where Here's walking with Brian says, "Okay, I got another riddle. So a lady has two kids. So a serial killer breaks into her house and says she can only keep one. Which one does she let him take?" That's not even a riddle, Peter. Just horrible. Wrong, the ugly one.
That's your favorite joke in all of Family Guy?
Well, that's one I can think of.
the only there's only like one I guess I'd call them like mega abuse jokes that's actually funny. And it's the one where it's like it's probably the one that everybody knows about. You know, the one where it's like their house is being broken into and then Meg runs out and she's like, "Dad,
God, I
what's
love that
wrong?
one.
I heard a noise." And then it's like pauses for a second and then he hits her and he's like, "Oh, Meg, you startled me." That's
He
like
has
the
like a
only
straight
one
like
I
10 seconds to stare at her and then he hits her and he goes, "Oh my god, sorry."
yeah,
Reflexes.
that's like the only one I like. The rest are just fucking terrible. I've heard theories like I think it's interesting that like Seth is basically just trying to do the worst shit he can so that the show will finally get canceled, but like
Really?
Fox just refuses to end it.
Do you genuinely believe that? Not that
I
I'm
could
like
see it
discrediting it.
happening. I
Hmm.
could
I
see it
do.
happening
I
because
mean,
I
he's
think
admitted he wants the show to end.
yeah, but Fox just won't fucking let him because it makes
Couldn't
too
he
much
just
money.
quit?
Well,
He can just quit though, right? I mean, it's America.
stop getting money then. Like,
Yeah, then he sucked in.
Oh, I see.
He has done stuff that's other than like the adult family cartoons. Like he made it's a show called The Orville, which is basically like
Oh, right, the guy's on a ship.
yeah, it's basically like a Star Trek I don't want to say clone, but it pretty much is a Star Trek clone.
It's
But
like
the thing,
it's like comedic Star Trek, kinda.
yeah, it's Star Trek with a lot more humor in it because Star Trek isn't really like is much more dramatic and
It's not
serious,
known
but
for its, yeah, comedic value.
yeah, but the Orville is pretty funny. I don't think it's like amazingly funny most of the time, but there are some jokes that land. Like there's this really good running gag with like there's this robot character Isaac, and he's trying to understand humans, and this one character pranks him by like gluing Mr. Potato Head pieces on him, and then he's like, "I got you. Now you got to get me back." And the robot's like, "Okay." And then he like basically saws off his leg and like hides it,
Jesus Christ.
and he's just
No.
like, and then he like, and then the guy who got his leg sawed off like hobbles in, and he's like, "You son of a bitch!" And he's like, and the robot's like, "Ha, got you."
Humor. I have it too.
Yeah, and I mean
Wow.
it's the future, so they just kind of like grow it back. But I think that joke's actually pretty. I think it's pretty funny. But most of the time, it just kind of feels like Family Guy humor, but in space. Like there's just random gags that just feel really out of place. There's no like cutaways. There's not like, hey, remember the time we were soaring through the Orion Nebula?
This is better than when blank, and then it, yeah.
Yeah. But I think it's a pretty good show, and I think as it goes from season 1 to 2, that stuff happens less. So like season 2 is definitely a lot better than season 1, and
Which show
season
was
3.
hardest to get into for you? Like, that you've ever, like, stuck with? Or on the flip side of that coin, which show was too hard for you to get into that you just dropped? That had, like, high praise, but, like, you couldn't get through the first crappy parts?
The Office.
Really?
Yeah, you told me to watch it. I watched like season 1 of The Office.
The entire
I
season 1, really?
yeah, I watched season 1 and then like the first few of season 2 and I just dropped it.
I think I'd say that's reasonable. I'd say that's enough that you could probably determine the quality of the first few seasons by watching like an entire season. But most people that I've heard of who dropped it after like the first or second episode, which is much too early because Michael Scott's
Yeah.
character doesn't really get developed until like halfway through the first season.
Yeah, I'm not. I hope. I'm probably gonna trigger so many Office fans because like it seems like like when everyone at school like they do those things where they talk about like their favorite show. Like I guarantee a third of the class is gonna say The Office.
It's like,
Arlo, you're muted.
oops, I said it's iconic, and then I was wondering why no one said anything.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean I can see why people like it, but I just never got into it. I'm like, yeah, it's fine. The best parts for me in the show are definitely like the Jim and Dwight pranks. Those are the best parts. Those are the parts that are the
Yeah.
funniest.
I
It's
like
my
the
favorite
episode
running
where
joke.
Dwight gets a concussion and
That one's kind of touching.
yeah.
I like this
And
really I like this one where like Jim throws a snowball at Dwight and then he like basically torments him by like
That one is legendary.
with like he like psychologically tortures Jim by like with all these snowballs
Yeah,
and just like popping out of nowhere, and then like I like when he disguises himself as
as
Pam
as
and like Jim walks up to him and he just like starts chucking snowballs at
I
him.
forgot about that part. It's so well written. I think later on, if you can like get past all the flaws that people complain about, mm, maybe it just has more room to be like criticized as a show because it's so popular, you know? Or maybe
Yeah,
I'm sure there are plenty of I probably would be able to think of if I sat down, I would probably be able to think of a popular show that isn't criticized like a whole bunch just because it's popular. But like,
yeah. I mean, I'm not like I don't want to be one of those like edgy teenagers who's like, "Oh, I hate it because it's popular." No, I
Yeah.
don't hate it. I can see why people like it, and there are parts that I think are funny. It's just not my thing. I just don't really get it. But
I
if you
like being
like
able to
it,
look
that's
at
fine.
things, yeah, like objectively, just like this is not a bad thing because I don't like it personally. Like it's good for what it is as a piece of work, as a piece of art. It's just not something that I am personally appealed to, but I can see the
Right.
appeal for other people.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's why I'm never gonna play Hollow Knight.
Fuck you,
How
Okay.
could you?
All right.
monster.
Thanks for
At
listening to
least
this
I
episode.
at least
What?
I watched season 1 of The Office. You're not even gonna play Hollow Knight?
It costs money.
Fuck you.
The Office is on Netflix, so if you have Netflix, it's
Yeah,
free.
Netflix costs money too. It's
But
like
you
what?
didn't just pay for Netflix just to watch The Office though, right? Did you?
What?
Did you?
No.